Nah, that's not the way it should be. That's the way it is. But I decided that we're going to do things free out here as long as I have an opportunity to do so. I ain't rich, but I ain't poor. And, pennies spend too, so you can get down with your brother. Just reach me at Like It Is Radio or call me here at the station. The 5th annual Kemet in the Desert series, spreading knowledge, and that's what we're going to continue to do because we have a guest in here who has 92,000. Yo, why get? No. Student really didn't mess up. I tell you things ahead of time. I told you about Trump, didn't I? Young Pharaoh is here in our town. I'm just going to let him tell him who he is, what he is, and I know we can't conceptualize it, but here's an opportunity for you, Las Vegas, to get out and meet somebody at an event. And this is what happens. This is how I got it. I got to these events. I listened to people. I did a little bit more research, the due diligence of listening to what they say, and then go in and find it out. But see, we didn't have Google back then. Woo! You had to use the Dewey card system. Y'all know what that is? Every book in the library has a number, and it's alphabetically challenged. Yeah, you say, yeah, I remember that. That one time I went to the library, but I was a master of the Dewey, because it's the Dewey cards decimal. So it will tell you where books are related to the subject you're looking for. You just got to go find them. But now they got Google, so you can just Google his brother, and it'll take you to YouTube, and he'll tell you some of the expansive knowledge that he's spreading to our individuals of, I don't know if it's the ex-millenniums, and what are the youth called nowadays? But without any further ado, young Pharaoh, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Do I call you young? Do I call you Pharaoh? Do I call you Mister? What's up, man?
Not Mister.
Not Mister?
Not Mister.
Come on, man.
You feel like a slave master.
Oh, man. See, you already know the knowledge is coming. This is young Pharaoh. He has an event. He's kicking it to the yos of us who may not have just know how to use the millennials forces that are out there, which is using the internet as a powerful vehicle. He's been traveling all over our state, our country, just spreading knowledge for a little while. I'm just going to tell us about what you do, what you want to do, your mission statement. Young Pharaoh, thank you for coming to KCEP.
Most definitely. First and foremost, I got to come with my signature phrase. Peace, peace, family. Peace, peace to all the family out there listening. I want to give a special shout out to this station, KCEP, everybody on this panel involved with my presence and me just being here today. So I definitely got to put my love and my gratitude on the table before I start. Vegas, this is my first time in Vegas. For those of you in Vegas who may not know me, you can get to know me very well on social media. So I want to put that out there. You can go on my YouTube, Young Pharaoh. Just type in Young Pharaoh. You can't miss it.
Well, hold on now. This is Vegas. You got to tell them how to spell. They can probably spell young, but I know they messing up that Pharaoh part.
Let me get it. Let me get it all the way right for y'all. So y'all got the young. I'm pretty sure y'all got the young. But when it comes to the Pharaoh, don't worry, because I used to butcher it too, and it was my name. Pharaoh. That's AOH after the R. So once again, Pharaoh. Young Pharaoh. If you type in young and hit P, YouTube will probably finish it for you.
For sure.
So with that being said, Young Pharaoh on YouTube. Instagram, Pharaoh Allah. That's PHARAOH_ALLAH. No, I'm not a Muslim if you was wondering that. Just answer your question telepathically. And same thing for Twitter, Pharaoh_Allah. And for Facebook is also Young Pharaoh. So you can get to know me. Check up on my videos. Message me personally. I'll respond back. And if you got any questions after this interview we finna do as far as interacting with me or becoming in tune with what it is I got going on, those are my social media sites. And as far as me, as you'll see, if you're just now becoming familiar with me, people, they like to consider me, you're a leader in the black community. I don't consider myself a leader in the black community because, for one, you your own responsibility. No star worries about the bright, shining momentum of another star. My thing is I consider myself a spirit guide. I'm here to guide your spirit back to its original place in the cosmos. So with that being said, I drop all kind of information, and I'm talking about all kinds. You're not just gonna get a lecture on the Olmecs all day. That's not how I'm giving it up. We're gonna talk about astral projection. We're gonna talk about pulse tube dilution refrigerators. We're gonna talk about extraterrestrials. We're gonna talk about government agendas. Like, anybody who know how I come with fact. Like, I actually recently just put out a document of Marilyn Monroe phone being tapped and being executed for trying to release public information on extraterrestrials because she was mad at JFK, who was pillow talking to her. So with that being said, I'm putting that out there to let y'all know I'm coming with documentation. We ain't playing no games, and I really don't leave no holes for discrepancy. So I come with a various amount of subjects, but my number one subject matter is the black woman is God. That's first and foremost. You might have your God, and that's cool, but he got to scoot over. So with that being said, the black woman is God. I proved that biologically, genetically, spiritually, historically. If you got a Quran, I'll show you it in there. If you got a Bible, I'll show you it in there. If you got a Torah, I'll show you it in there. If you're an atheist, I'll show you it in that void space you're in too. So with that being said, I have a high inventory of subject matter that I go to, but I want to put, the first primary subject matter on the table, which is the black woman is God. Because our race and our people are only going to rise as high as we elevate our woman. And right now we are a matrilineal people, not just psychologically but genetically as well. But we're living underneath a patriarch guise of psychology. And until we rid ourselves of that mind virus, we're going to continue to be at a lower level of existence. So, that's just a little brief introduction to myself, to all the family listening in. Once again, if you want to delve a little deeper into me, that on a level I may not be able to fully express to you now, you can follow me on YouTube at Young Pharaoh, Facebook at Young Pharaoh, Instagram at Pharaoh_Allah, Snapchat at Pharaoh_Allah. And as the brother stated earlier, I will be doing a meet and greet later on today around 4 or 5. And the guy.
Tell us where, because folks is listening. We've mentioned it a few times.
Oh, most definitely. But I wanted the proper introduction to be by the goddess herself. Who's even
take over.
That's right. Who's putting it together? So you got to give glory when glory is due. So the queen, I'm gonna let her take over right now and introduce herself. Tell us the name of her business, where it's at. Because I'm here to help, but I ain't the manifestor. So we're gonna let the creator speak about that creation. Here we go.
Greetings, family. This is Shamika Webb. I have African Traditions. It's a new art store here in the Las Vegas Valley. I'm located at 900 South Valley View Boulevard, Suite 110. Again, that's 900 South Valley View, Suite 110. You can reach me at 702-910-2232. And I'm also...
Repeat that slowly, because my ink ain't right. Hold on.
The phone number...
I know you was giving out no numbers. Hold up.
702-910-2232. As Young Pharaoh just mentioned, he will be in the building tonight for a meet and greet. That's going to be from 5 to 7 p.m. Please come out, patronize the black business. We have African art, authentic. I go back and forth to Ghana, Africa. So it is handcrafted wood art from the motherland. Come check us out.
We surely will. We surely will. As we get back to the Young Pharaoh at this event that will be happening this afternoon, and also there's one on Saturday, so we will definitely mention that further. How'd you get into this thing, man? What sparked you? I recognize your aura, your light, but how did that manifest itself, if you will?
All right. I kind of always been this way, and now we gotta go into story time. So I kind of always been this way, but I really, really, really started reading and trying to express myself intellectually when I got to 15 years old. But I've never been a Christian. I've never believed, when I was a child, and I don't want, when I say this, I gotta put the disclaimer on the table. I don't want people to say, oh, you don't believe in God because you didn't like God. I don't want nobody to think that, me and my psychological state at the time as a kid is the reason I waned away from religion. I just understand that it's false. But with that being said, when I was a child, when my grandma would, because it's mostly grandma, because, grandma's the main, religious deity in every household. So, my grandma would tell me things about God. It would be in complete opposite to what I was experiencing. So, if my grandma would tell me, God gonna make things all right, or God gonna do this, and Jesus just gonna do this, it would be like, if you knew Superman was real and you was falling off a building, you wouldn't even be worried about dying because somebody gonna swoop down and save you. So as I watch myself go through trials and tribulations, without going into too much details, I watch my family go through chaotic scenarios just as every other family goes through in the inner city. Jesus never showed up. So, I had a problem with Jesus as a kid because I felt like, well, why you want all of this glory and you want all of this greatness and you ain't never nowhere to be found? You know what I'm saying? And then, I'm like, surely if you don't listen to the cry of an adult, you listen to the cry of a child. And then, it really sealed the deal for me when I remember I had $5. My uncle gave me $5 to get some candy from the store. And my grandma made me go to church with her. And the collection plate got to coming around. And my grandma took my $5 and put it in the plate. And right there I said, God got to go. Because I want my candy. And, don't everybody else, don't he get enough money? Why he going, surely Jesus will let a child go to the store and get him some Starburst. That's all I wanted. So, I said, God has taken from me. And not only has he taken from me, he ain't gave me nothing back. So all the times I've been calling on you, you know, where you been? But then you got the nerve to take my $5 and I'm getting a whooping if I object. So it was right there. I knew something wasn't right in my spirit. And then I would go to my grandfather Reese house when I was a young child. He's not my biological grandfather, but he's like a grandfather to me. And he had a lot of figurines and statues in his home. And one of them, he had a lot, but two of them, was a big life-size sarcophagus of King Tut. And the other one was a life-size sarcophagus of, a life-size figurine of Anubis who was guarding the sarcophagus of King Tut. And, you know, it would speak to me. And, you know, I got to veer off really quick because, you know, the reason that, you know, America doesn't allow Afrocentric imagery out is because images resurrect memory in the DNA. So when
Hold up. You just blew half Vegas away. You gotta have to say that again with a little breakdown to it. I understood what you said.
Yeah.
It's so powerful we need to repeat that.
Well, you have memory stored in your DNA. And every time you have a child, you don't just pass down physiological traits. You pass down emotional and psychological traits as well. So, you know, a lot of times your fears come from your ancestors. For example, you might be scared of water, but you ain't never drowned. But one of your grandparents might have drowned. And or they might have almost drowned when they was a kid and grew up and had you, and now they done passed you down their subconscious memory vaults. Their subconscious memory vault, and in that vault is a memory of them drowning and being fearful. And now it's your job to work that out. So that's the whole point of self-discipline and meditation and things like that, is to clean out. Because when we say, you know, everything we got was passed down from our ancestors, they forget to tell you that the bad is too. So the whole point of self-discipline is cleansing out yourself, you know, genealogically, because everything you do, even the fact that you're able to think, comes from, you know, your DNA. Now, getting back on point, you know, they don't really allow what we call white supremacy, which is just actually, in this form I'm speaking on and in, psychological warfare. The reason they don't allow, images of Granger or, you know, black power invoking images out publicly is because it would awaken DNA that they need to continue to remain dormant within you. So if I showed you pictures of ninjas all day and you grew up seeing ninjas all day, you would try to be a ninja. There's kids watch wrestling and then they do wrestling moves on their family members. So we understand that imagery has a big influence on psychology. And when you look at the Egyptians, they didn't use words or vowels or grammatical text. They used images, because images invoke the left and the right hemisphere of your brain, because the right hemisphere of your brain is being used to admire the creativity of the image, and then the left hemisphere of your brain is being used to manifest out of the hippocampus part of your brain the memory of the story behind the image. So this is why ancestors even told stories using images, because it caused you to use both hemispheres of your brain. Now you just read a book and it's all words, so you're using the left hemisphere, you're not using the right hemisphere, which causes you to become diagnosed with the hemispheric imbalance in your brain, and then the kundalini energy in your spine never raises, and that's a whole other problem. Now bringing this back to a point, when I was staring at the sarcophagus, it would like speak to me. Now, you know, a lot of people are gonna say you crazy, and you know, for purposes of proper decorum, you know, I won't curse you out, but I will tell you, you know, mind your business. I'm sane. I know how to count. I know how to spell my name. I'm not crazy. Now, with that being said, it would speak to me spiritually. And I was very attracted to it. I was very drawn to it. And it got to the point where I was like infatuated with this room. And I would sit in the room. Whenever I went over there, I wouldn't want to leave. I would play with my toys in the room. And people would be like, you know, tell him to come out that room. But, you know, they'd be like, let him rock. Let him do him. So that was like my little sacred space, whatchamacallit, if you will. So that being said, the sarcophagus really was speaking to me. Now, I'm not going to go as far as to say I'm King Tut reincarnated, but I know that something in my soul heavily identified with that. And as I grew up, like when I would be in school, I remember in the history books, I would flip to the Egypt page. Now, if anybody remember being in school in middle school or elementary school, you know, the whole class is always on the same page at the same time because the teacher's reading, you're following along. So, you know, different pages had different historical eras. So, like, they might be on, you know, castles in Europe and talking about knights, and I'm on the Egypt page. So with that being said, you know, I was always drawn and seeking out the history of Egypt. And what happened was, by the time I was always the smart kid, you know, like all of my friends, you know, and I come from a street background, but all of my friends would tell you, like, you know, I was always the smart one. Like I'm the one who you call and ask how you spell a word. So with that being said, when I got about the age 15, I started actually taking it upon myself to get books. So instead of me just, finding books or coming across videos, I would actually go buy books. And I started reading them. And I started developing my mind. And I started attempting to express myself. But a lot of the times, due to the direction I went in life, being in the streets and, that type of era, and doing illegal activities and just trying to be out here trying to survive, and then going to prison, my greatness was it was on a standstill, you could say. So like, I was the type of person, I was in the streets, I might be hitting licks, but I'm listening to a lecture. This is real talk. I might be in the trap spot, but it's some books in here, so when you rage, you're gonna find some drugs and you're gonna find something on the dope kind of thing. So with that being said, I never allowed my intellect to slip away, but I wasn't able to cultivate it. And it wasn't until I went to prison for 3.5 years, where you ain't got nothing but time, where I cultivated it. And I remember being in my cell one day, and I didn't even ask to get out of jail. I wasn't like, no, I want to get out of jail. I was what you call a hardened criminal. Like, if I'm in here, we gonna rock. So with that being said, I remember being in my cell one day, and I was meditating, and I had asked the ancestors, and I said, man, ancestors, I'm not even asking y'all to get me out of jail, because I'm going to deal with this situation how I'm going to deal with it like a man. But I remember telling them, I said, man, I'm honestly tired of being evil. It's the truth. And a lot of people, I got to say this, because a lot of people talking about they in the streets, but it's a difference just being outside and being active. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference just being at your job, and it's a difference between somebody working at cashier and somebody that just own the place. You ain't, you own McDonald's. You ain't never in there. You just collecting a check. So we talk about being in the streets. I was in the streets. I was selling drugs, being very violent. Police know me by my name. You know what I'm saying? I can't go nowhere without my life being on the line. So that got drained. And then like when I was in prison, beating people up, fighting. Police broke my arm. I was manifesting my reality at that time to the fullest extent of the means I was living. And it get tired. It's not about being, soft, but any real gangster, anybody in jail that got 25 to life, if you in prison and you listening to this now, you know what I'm talking. It get tired busting people in their head every day, having to defend your manhood every day, and then where the pain really kick in is when you realize that you know better. So now it's like, I'm not even doing this as a fool no more. Now I'm doing this because you're not gonna respect the new righteous aspect of myself I'm trying to manifest, because that self don't get to exist in what we call the underworld. So y'all know what I mean. I was tired. And I asked the ancestors one day, I said, man, I said, I'm going to do what I got to do while I'm in jail. I'm going to play the game. But when I get out of jail, I just don't want to be back in the same predicament I'm in. I just want to be able to teach was one of them. And I just want to be able to live my life positively and, thrive off my mind. I don't want to have to engage in things that I no longer spiritually agree with. So when I did that, right after I got done doing that meditation before I went to sleep, it was like I felt this light in my chest. And it might sound weird, but the only way I could give you an allegory for it or an analogy for it, it's like the Iron Man light in his chest. And I feel the light right now. And with that being said, it was like a light that was vibrating in my chest. And like when I started to do bad things in jail, I felt it go away. So like when I started fighting again and going to the box and doing all that type of stuff, I felt my light going away. So I understood then that like that was the ancestors, and they would answer my my request, not my prayer, but my request. And it's like, ever since I started doing positive things and keeping my word, because a part of that was, I told him I wouldn't engage in harmful things if need be. So with that being said, when I started to do them things, or I felt myself psychologically drift, I felt that light leave me. But as long as I stayed on my path, I felt it in me. And so what happened was, I did the duration of my sentence, not to give y'all no jail story, so we're going to skip out of that. I did the duration of my sentence, and I came home 2015 in July. And it was like the universe was testing me. And it was people coming up to me from the streets, offering me, I'll give you $100,000 if you do this, because I was in the streets, you know what I'm saying? I was in them streets, I'm not going to play. So there's people coming to me, I'll give you $100,000 if you bust this move. And I'm coming out of jail, felony, no job, and I'm turning it down because I had faith in the entities that I became comfortable with interacting with. So I had faith, and I turned it down. I turned a lot of stuff down that would have made me, that according to the offer, would have made me a little wealthy quick. And whatchamacallit, I kept reading. I stayed on my positive thing. And one day, I was on Facebook, my first Facebook that got shut, because Facebook shut me down a couple times. That's why I even went to YouTube. I was on Facebook, and I was arguing with my cousin, actually, over Christianity. and a pastor jumped on the stat, and next thing you know, it was like, I'm not making this up, it was like 70 people on my stat versus me. And I was digging Jesus, I was digging his chest out. And I was arguing with the whole Buffalo. And I said, you know what, I can't respond to everybody fast enough. Let me do a video. And this is the first video y'all see of me getting my hair twisted. It's called Christianity is a Lie and a Black Woman is God. That's my first video I ever did, ever. And that video actually was my Facebook video response. And y'all can see I was cursing and everything, but that's because I was responding to everybody on my stat. And that video did 80,000 views in 3 days. So I said, dang, you know what I'm saying? Dang, I said, let me try this again. So I said, that can't be no fluke. So I did another video after that. Now, I don't remember what the second video was. I don't know if it was Spirit Diet or another one. But if y'all go down my YouTube channel to my first videos, they're all in the proper order that I uploaded them. And I did another video, and I posted that. That video did 70,000 views in 4 days. So I said, okay, mind you, my Facebook following is not that big at the time. It's only people in Buffalo. So I'm like, where's all these views coming from? So I did another video. I don't remember exactly which one it was. And next thing you know, I had 60,002. So I said, okay, I have a avenue to express myself. So I just started going crazy on there with my intellect and my understanding on life. And I'm hitting 80,000, 90,000, 100,000 in 2-3 days. So I'm like, wow. You know, people responding to, because I was like one of them dudes who was trying to get a mixtape and trying to be a rapper. That's everybody's dream. You know what I'm saying? When you in the streets, I'm going to sell these drugs and I'm going to glorify it on the song. But I was like, I'm actually, it was shocking to me because you see rappers and stuff get a lot of attention. You don't see positive people get attention. So I don't know if it was my swag or my delivery, because I'm hardcore, but I'm not as hard. When I first, like if y'all go on my YouTube and y'all see my first videos, you might unsubscribe, because I was hard body way back about a year and a half ago.
Still knowledge, Phil. It's just
Yeah.
when I'm trying to, not to cut you up.
Yeah.
We're talking with Young Pharaoh. We are here. If y'all want to blow the phone lines up, because y'all was texting me, you know the number, 702-647-3688. He has an event this Saturday, but this afternoon there will be a meet and greet. We just talked to the black business owner, and that'll be happening at African Traditions, 900 South Valley View Boulevard, Suite 110. I believe she said that's 4 to 5 in that time, but we need to go out there and check out this black business, because she's got some stuff up in there. Make your house melanated with those energies of these properties of people who look like you. Now, I know you may have 50 Cent on the wall, but this is before 50 Cent. And that's happening today again at 900 South Valley View Boulevard, Suite 110, African Traditions. Having a meet and greet with Young Pharaoh. You want to blow up the phone lines. We may take a call or two, but he's kicking knowledge. And if I could just interject with you, at which point, because you talked about religion and vibe, you just went all over the place and you're putting it down, and the youth know who this brother is. You oldest men want to get in line. But as you talked about the philosophy of not having religion, then you can connect the black woman in the Bible and the Quran and things of that nature. How does that manifest itself? If it's not something that we should believe in, why should we look to them to have the support of the graciousness and the glory of a black woman?
That's a beautiful question, actually. What we have to understand is the word origins. Okay, origins are very important. And a lot of people deal with the effect. They don't deal with the cause. So, for example, right? If you knock a bottle of water on the ground, right? The first thing somebody's going to say is, why you spill that on my floor? That's the effect. You didn't even ask me. You know, you're not even worried about the cause of it. Am I having a stroke? You know what I'm saying? What caused me to spill the water? So we live in a world where people are just so ready to react. We don't never ask you, why did you even commit that to the action in the first place? So when we're talking about origins, we have to speak about the origins of these books. So you see the book, you see grandma got the book, mommy got the book, daddy got the book, whoever in the house older than you that seems to be the dominant authority figure in your location got this religious book. And they telling you all of this religious dogma. And you believe it because you trust them. So that's the origin. First of all, we got to talk about the origins. They ain't tell you where the book came from. They ain't tell you where nothing in the book came from. Only thing they did was successfully execute your indoctrination into this religion through the fact that you trust them. Because if we went to a foreign country right now and you never heard of Christianity, you never heard of Islam, you never heard of the Torah, and I came up to you and I spoke another language and I said, believe in Jesus Christ, and you never heard of him, you would be like, get out my face. You know why? Because we don't have a bond. So religion, first of all, the origins of it to you was introduced to you through a bond. And you can't say it wasn't because you didn't create it. So don't come here talking about I wear Jordans because I like them. No, you don't. You wear Jordans because everybody like them. Because if you went to another country right now and everybody was wearing Skechers, would you wear them? No, because you don't wear them now. And if you would, then that just shows the exact reason why you wear Jordans, because it seems normal in society. So that being said, we were introduced to religion through our parents who were successfully indoctrinated. Now, religion itself, all religions were created for conquest purposes, okay, by people that I would like to describe as the administration, the elites, Masons, occultic practitioners, whatever words you want to use, but people who wanted to conquest African people at that time. And what they did was, after they successfully polluted Egypt, I don't like to say destroyed, I like to say polluted, okay? After they successfully polluted Egypt, they began to create a spiritual system to conquest you. For example, when you go to church and you eat the cracker and you drink the wine or the grape juice, whatever you do, and it's called the Eucharist ceremony, which is the remembrance of Jesus Christ, and you're eating the blood and the flesh of Christ. People don't understand that not only is that a cannibalistic ritual, it comes from the Ptolemies in Egypt. So when the Ptolemies, okay, specifically Ptolemies the third and fifth, who was the grandsons of the original Ptolemy, okay, when Ptolemy tried to deify himself, he became Serapis, which was a combination of Osiris and the Apis bull. But he never created a temple for himself to be worshipped. So his grandson created the Osirian temple as well as the temple of Serapis. And then his Ptolemy the fifth, which would be the fifth Ptolemy, said, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Not only is you going to worship my grandfather, I'm going to make myself into a Christ-like deity, and you're going to worship both of us through a ritual called the Eucharist. And they made African people, who we call Egyptians at that time, eat bread, okay, and drink wine or grape juice as offering and remembering of the original Ptolemy. So now here we go. Because now that you know the science of that, we want to talk about origins. You're not Caucasian. You're not related to Ptolemy. He would have killed you back then if he would have ran into you. And he created the whole Eucharist ceremony as worship, not to Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ, the story was not created yet, but to his grandfather and himself. So now today, we go to church and we eat the bread and we drink the wine because grandma told us to. So we drink the wine and eat the bread to worship Ptolemy. Ain't even got nothing to do with Jesus. So why did you think it had something to do with Jesus? Because grandma told you. So when we say, talking about putting honesty on the table, grandma don't know what she's talking about. And that just is what it is. And we gotta be mature enough in the world to say, you know what? Age is not associated with intelligence. That comes from a Eurocentric frame of thought. Okay? When you watch old slave movies or you study patriarch, it's always man first, and the older the man, the more wiser he is. But that's not true at all times, and that's not the way African people rule, because you can't study black history and ignore that the prince is not 50. He's 8. Okay? The princess is not 60. She's 10. So African people, we entrusted our entire empires, nations, and civilizations to the youth. And it was the European who taught us to look at our children as intellectually inadequate and not good enough to elevate. So now this comes back to the origins of religion. Okay, religion was written by Masons to destroy the matriarch. And all around the world, the black woman was a god figure. And even when we go to Islam, okay, because I can crush Christianity, but I'm going to do that in the lecture on Saturday. We're going to go to Islam right now. When you go to any Muslim, they tell you they worship Allah. But ask them how old the word Allah is. Because before it was Allah, it was Allat, A-L-L-A-T. And then they tell you that the Egyptian deities, all the female deities, have T's at the end of their name to denote their feminine nature. For example, you got Mayat, Sekhmet. I can go all the way down the list. So in the Middle East over there, which is actually still a part of Africa, okay, not even really the Middle East, you're still in Africa, but outside of that, they worship Allat, which was a female fertility goddess. And then what the Caucasian did was he said, okay, well, after he created Christianity at the Council of Ephesus, because it wasn't at the Council of Nicaea, Constantine got it started, but it was Christianity was created during 5th century AD at the Council of Ephesus. And this is where you get the book in the Bible, Ephesians or Ephesians, however you pronounce it. And God considers the Ephesians or the Ephesian people holy. That's because that's where the religion was created. But outside of that, coming back to Islam, what happened was the Pope and all of these Roman deities couldn't conquest the Middle East because they couldn't get in because they didn't speak the language. So, we have to understand how language is like a force field. A person can't even come into your ideology unless they can understand you. So the Caucasian didn't conquest what we consider the Middle East today through the use of Christianity. So what he did was he had a prisoner of war that you would call Muhammad. And Muhammad was actually trained by Admiral Bey. So don't get that twisted. Muhammad was not given no, understanding from God. The Quran means written word, and it's historically documented that Muhammad was illiterate. Okay, so how he gonna write something that he can't even write? Why would God give? That's like God would give a blind man the opportunity to get on a stand in court and be a witness at a crime. He was blind. So with that being said, Muhammad was trained underneath the Roman Catholics at that time, and since he spoke the Middle Eastern language, they used him as a mule to convert Christianity into Islam and to take it over there to his people forcefully. And in exchange for that, they gave him what they always give people, women, fame, military, soldiers, all of that bull crap. And this is why Muhammad went over there, and everybody and this is in Muhammad's history, everybody was converted to Islam under the sword. So now you have to ask yourself, why would you have to convert your own people to something forcefully if you already was amongst them? Why wouldn't they trust you? Okay, that's because they didn't know you. Okay, and you didn't grow up amongst them. So when we talk about Christianity and Islam being connected, the people who created Christianity created Islam, and this is why all of the stories are the same. All of the prophets are the same. Muslims believe in Jesus too. I believe they call him Ibis. So with that being said, we have to understand that all religion was created by the same entity, which is a non-African entity whose means at the time, and still this time, was conquest. So what they did was they just reconverted the, Jesus Christ ideology to the Arabic language, called it Islam, and gave it to you. And now you believe the same exact thing a Christian believes, except you speak Arabic, okay, and we speak English, or Latin at the time when it was the Latin Vulgate, or, any other linguistic translation before the one that you use today. So all religions are created, and black women were deities all around the world. All around the world. We ain't gonna say all around the world. And the Caucasian came, and he said, it's a man's world. And what he began to do was to pillage our spiritual system, and by giving us caste system and hierarchical systems that put man first. So any religion you go to, including the Bible, okay, God was a woman first, and they turned him to a man. And I just showed you in Islam with the origins of the word to give you a little juice. And the last, dagger we're gonna put in Islam is, they have a 3-letter word spelled RHM, which is Ruhum. And Ruhum in Islam means womb. And they got a prayer that they do. And I don't speak Arabic, so you ain't gonna get it fluent. But they ask to seek mercy within the Ruhum of Allah. And Ruhum means womb. So if Allah is a man, why would you be asking to seek refuge within the womb of Allah? And it's because it was Allah first before conquestors came over there and played you. So, today if you're a religious person, you've been tricked. And I'm not here to play with you about that. I'm not here to sugarcoat it, because it's only so long that you can allow something to go on before you get tired. And it's like, we are hard on stuff that's not important, and we easy on stuff that is. So, these kids out here dying every day in these streets, and that don't concern nobody. You know what I'm saying? And then we want to be hard on them and say, you're going to jail, you're a criminal. And we want to be hard on them because nobody paved the way for them. Because the elders was busy doing what they was doing, Cadillacs and all the stuff y'all was doing in the 80s and 90s. So we got distracked. And now we running down on the youth. But then if we say, okay, this is wrong and this is right, now we want to be nice. Oh, everybody should have an opinion, and you should believe what you want. You don't get an opinion around facts. Water's wet. You come here talking about it's dry, you out of here. I'm not the Constitution. I don't care about your free speech. So that being said, when it comes to religion, you've been played. And if you giving your money to a God, okay, that God is a Caucasian who owns a corporation. And one of his business products happen to be religion. Open up your Bible, okay, if you don't believe me, go to the first page and say copyright and publishing. Look up the owner of that copyright and that publishing. See who owned that patent, and you tell me who's benefiting off your belief. Because your tithes that you're paying not even going to God. They going to who own the book. So, did God come down here and fill out a copyright application? If Moses wrote the book of Genesis, why he don't own the publishing? Okay? Why do Billy and them own it? So we have to understand that, religion is before it was a muscle, now it's a hustle. So which one you want? You already got beat down by the muscle. Don't get beat down by the hustle. So, I'm going to pass the mic back to the guys. But, it's got its origin. And I'll go in depth on the origin. I got an entire lecture called The Black Woman is God on my YouTube where I show you Bible verses. I go step by step. And, I'd be giving a whole lecture right now if I did that. But I just need to open y'all minds up and get y'all to think. Because some of y'all afraid. Some of y'all know better, but you afraid. And you got to get that fear out of you. You got to, my grandma know. My grandma know. I'll go to my grandma's house all the time, tell her, Grandma, you take that white man down off your wall. And she don't take, and my grandma got the nerve to have the white Jesus up. She don't even got the black one. That's the nerve my grandma got. She got the white one. So, with the blue eyes too. So, I'm telling you. So, I let my grandma know, Grandma, this is not, Grandma, I love you enough to tell you the truth. I'm going to do it respectful. We ain't going to disrespect Grandma, but I love you. I'm going to tell you the truth. Grandma, that man, he need to come off that wall. Because if he could come out that picture, you be picking cotton. So, with that being said, we need to love ourselves enough as black people to tell each other the truth. If we studying and if we failing in class, I'm not your friend if I don't tell you, bro, you need to study and stop, bull crapping. I don't love you if I don't tell you something forcefully to do better. You know what I'm saying? So, we got to stop being nice and using being nice as an excuse to really not care. We see people out here struggling every day and trying to find themselves. And, instead of us getting involved, we give our personal responsibility as humans and as a human population on this planet to an entity that don't exist. And if he does exist, we need to be putting him under scrutiny because what you doing? Because if Superman was here and we seen somebody falling off a building and we watch Superman just watch that person fall to their death, we would outcast Superman. Take your cape off, don't fly around here, we don't need you, we call him Batman. So with that being said, how God is up there and he watching people. What about kids that get raped? All this child sex trafficking going on, pedophilia going on. At what point in time does God step in? And I'm sick of people keep speaking for God. So, if God got a voice, he can use it. And until he decides to use it, if you do believe, we got to use our own and do for us. So we cannot stay at a point to where it's like, okay, my rent needs to be paid. And we see Big Mama struggling and it's 100 people on the block and she $100 short and everybody can't donate $1, but everybody talking about you just pray to God and he gonna come through. No, don't you come through. You about to go buy a Dutch from the store. You about to smoke. You about to get you some drink. You about to get you a $400, $500 wig on your head. Help Big Mama pay the rent. So with that being,
if we're not giving those images, so you recognize that, but let's go to the music. I know one of the things you talk about a lot is the music and the vibration of the music. If we're not giving those images of us being successful, and then we look like we're supporting black videos, we just had a lot of awards here and this and that, but the youth, they gravitate towards the music more. What's the message in the music? Can we change it back to the way it was, the love of the 70s, 80s, some OJs or something?
But we can't change something we ain't never owned or create. So by that, I mean, when you're talking about the hip-hop industry, black people we don't run that. Black people don't, and I know people gonna get mad. They're gonna say, well, we a big influence. No, you're not. You get influence. Okay? We ain't got nothing to do with Young Thug wearing no dress. So do not be come on here talking about we influence the world. No, you're being influenced by the world today. So maybe back in the day, Run DMC or something, but today you ain't influencing nothing. You're following trends. So we talking about, coming back through the music. Hopefully, I'm going to try it. I mean, I got a mixtape that I'm actually releasing tomorrow after my lecture called Levels to the Shift, SHIFT. And, I'm coming hard body. This ain't no Nas or Common mixtape, but it's not a 50 Cent one either. It's kind of a mixture. But with that being said, we can't change nothing that we don't own. And black people don't buy albums. We bootleg. So it's not like the artist is really dependent on you actually following him. They just dependent on getting enough notoriety to where they can come get some money to do a walkthrough or something. So as far as the music goes, that's actually being controlled by the record labels now instead of being dictated by the people who support these record labels. So I don't see the music industry as a whole changing anytime soon, because why would I? Don't have to. I'm telling you what to like. You ain't telling me what to like. But as far as music goes, what people do need to understand is the frequency. Music today is being played at 440 hertz. Now, if you study musicology, which is an actual curriculum you could even take up in college, 440 hertz is considered the devil interval. So to give you an equivalent analogy of what that would be like scratching a chalkboard, okay, for you spiritually. Now, everybody has an aura, a soul, a aura produced by your soul, but in science it's not called aura, it's called a biofield. Your biofield is your electromagnetic field produced by your chakra rate and your heart rate. And this gives you what you call your aura. So with that being said, 440 hertz actually alters your aura and paralyzes the right hemisphere of your brain, which deals with your consciousness and your intuition. So what happens is, and on top of that, it actually makes you less moral because you can desensitize a magnet. Your brain is a magnet. So the 440 hertz also desensitizing the left and right hemispheres of your brain, which is the different polar opposites of a magnet, causing you to become psychologically impaired, making you less immoral. This is why you see people become more violent and things like that when they listen to hip hop. And I'm not, downgrading hip hop. My favorite rap group is D Block. Y'all know how Styles P giving it up. But I'm just letting you know why. You know why you can listen to songs and it's okay. Because in any other situation, it's not okay. So with that being said, the 440 hertz interval frequency was introduced by the British Standards Institute in 1939. The original frequency was 432 hertz, which is the love frequency and is also the frequency in which things become physical within the electromagnetic spectrum. So you see people like Michael Jackson and Prince played their music at 432 hertz, and this is why people literally love them. You see Michael Jackson come out, people get to crying on the stage. Ain't nobody crying right now when, these new rappers come out. So with that being said, we can see people like Future have a song called Freak HOE, and you like the song, and you can bop to it, because it's at 440 hertz. So, your consciousness is actually basically imprisoned at that time. So you consciously don't have the capacity to say, I'm not HOE. So you just like the beat. Only thing working is the left hemisphere of your brain. So once the song goes off and you're living life and both your hemispheres of your brain are active again, and somebody walks up on you and says, hey, freak HOE, what's your number? Now you're offended because your right hemisphere of your brain was able to say, hey, I'm not an HOE. So, this gives you the science of how they actually neurologically reprogramming people today with the music. And when we're talking about, can music change, it's past that. We passed that stage. We might have could have changed it. We might have could have had a shot, but our forefathers, our forefront, the people that was at the forefront of this hip-hop era gave it up. And that's just what it is. And I'm just going to keep it real like that. So you see a lot of these people out here, P. Diddy, and a lot of these Jay-Z, a lot of these so-called leaders and titans in the industry gave it up. They didn't create a pocket to where they could own it and hold on to something. They allowed Jewish vultures and everybody who owned these businesses to basically become the leading conglomerates and controllers of what's being dispensed instead of the people. So the power, they did basically what the government did. The power is no longer in the hands of the people. It's in the dictators. And, the industry right now is a dictatorship. It's not a democracy. And in the form of what it should be. So music right now is actually worse off right now than it's ever been as far as influencing people because it's about weight. More people want to hear negative than they want to hear positive. So,
can I ask you a
go
question?
ahead.
How do we, as a consumer, know what frequency these songs are recorded in? Like, that's information that. How do I know?
I mean, they got apps on your phone. I can't think of an app right now, but you can get an app right now, and it'll tell you if the song 440 hertz, and you can switch it to 432. But most like when you make music, I can't really explain it. But like a engineer or producer that's listening to this, when they go to bounce the song out, it'll tell you this is how many hertz it is. That's how many hertz it is. Like engineers and people who do all of that. You know what I'm saying? Who construct the songs.
So, because I have a producer, so my producer would be able to, when he is
bouncing the song, bouncing the wave,
set the frequency to where I need it.
It's right.
I should have it at 432.
Yes, you should.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm
you
gonna
should.
make sure Tiny G Beats knows.
But you gotta remember too, we talking about standard. So so let's say if you got your song at 432 hertz, that's cool. But if you want to come through my record label, that's coming out at 440 hertz.
Okay.
But most people don't think about that. Most people don't care. They just feel like I got a hit record. Y'all want to sign me? Let's go. But now that you conscious and you want to be positive, and you say, damn, well, I want my song at the love frequency. Now you realize the block. Because you might have a beautiful song, and Sony might say, yeah, that's a great song, but it's not playing at 432 hertz. Unless you want us to do you like we did Mike, you're going to turn that to 440. So that being said, people have to understand spiritual warfare. It's all electromagnetic. And it starts with your biofield. If you can weaken a person's biofield, you weaken a person's psyche.
This is like, hold on, just tell everybody what we're doing. This is Like It Is Radio. We're talking with young Pharaoh. He has an event this weekend. There's a meet and greet this afternoon at 900 South Valley View Boulevard, Suite 110. African traditions. You can come here. The brother's he's diverse and complex on a lot of different levels. He has over 92,000 followers on YouTube. He's been putting these messages out to our community. Now, if you got kids in your house today, I'm talking about, I mean young kids, but I mean younger than me, they probably know who this brother is. This is an event that will be good for you to go out there. It's intergenerational, and we got a couple of minutes left here. So we just hollering with this brother to gain knowledge of what's happening on the larger black diaspora. He's been putting it down for a minute. This is the introduction to Vegas. This has been going on. There's a whole nother level of, I don't want to call it psychology. I don't want to call it black Africanism. I'm just going to call it consciousness that's happening on the internet. There's a whole group of people we're trying to get in here. He happened to be the first one we're grabbing to. He's here in this town. We might as well go out and check out the energy he's putting down. We got my man sitting in the studio, young Pharaoh. Good evening. Good morning. How you doing? Welcome to the Like It Is Radio Nation. Tell me you got me locked in on Facebook. You're a constituent. You're already listening.
Yes, my brother. How you doing, brother? Brother Khalid from Man Down Boxing. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for calling in. What you got?
Oh, man, what you got? And what the brother got over there? What that brother been on this time, man?
The brother been cultivating, man. That's how we connect you here. You know, Like It Is Radio Power 88. We ain't gonna leave no stone unturned when it comes to talking about blackness.
Yes. It's part of what Allah, in the name of Allah, with the merciful and the merciful, inshallah. Okay, brother, you know, everything that y'all basically talking about at this particular time, it is absolutely 200%. 200. Not 100, 200. And I've been waiting for somebody to enlighten and entice the mindset of the people. Because, you know, we're still in triple state darkness right now, brother. You know, and we got to keep it going, brother, because especially when you started talking about that rap music and all that. I mean, it's like, it's this really detrimental to us. And I keep saying this, man, that gangster rap is a conspiracy to kill off black people. And that's all I got to say, man. Y'all just keep it going. Keep it going. And I appreciate everything that's being said. And we just really need to educate our people, man, because we just don't know who we are. We really don't.
Most definitely. I appreciate the call, and I appreciate the support. And you know, it's things like platforms like this is great when they utilize properly, because it get lonely at the top, but then when you realize there's other people at the top of their own mountains, then you know we connect like that. So we out here. We got to just come together.
Because back home, you know, one of my physicals I'm dealing with, which, you know, that's the woman. You know, she's a Christian, right? And once again, you know where I'm taking this to, pretty much. And as me being a Muslim, and born Muslim that is, and even though all of us are really born Muslim, but like I said, we just so brainwashed. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Just so brainwashed, brother. And
Right.
right now, I'm dealing with her in situations like that about Christianity. I'm trying to break it down to her, but she don't understand what's going on, brother. Because she said she just leaning one way. You know what I mean? Her mind is leaning one way because she's still stuck in that mode. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when you started talking about the situation with your grandma, you was like, hey, listen, grandma, I love you, this and that, but you got to take that blonde head situation down off the wall. Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
All right,
That's
bro.
right.
We appreciate you, man. You know, and everything will be listed right there on our Facebook page, also at Like It Is Radio. This is what we've been doing is having the pleasure of talking with one of our young intellectuals. As you see, he's covered a diverse subject matter, from the Bible to the black woman to the vibes and the frequencies and the decibel levels in your kids' music. So I'm gonna tell you, all this comes, and I'm up there. I ain't gonna lie, I got my AARP card. But this brother's putting it down for the younger generation to give them the knowledge they need. We got Lady AK in the building for a minute. I just want to introduce her as one of my co-hosts on the breakdown and, you know, the social activist stuff she does. I just want to know if you had a question before we get up on our here. Just, you know, I just brought you in here impromptu. I hope you was listening to this brother. If you can't turn her mic on there, Tim's, we give her a little second to elaborate, because you was already talking about the queen. She represents the queens out here in the major league. Right? I'm telling you.
That's what's up. I appreciate you, Franklin G. Shout out to Like It Is Radio. My big bro in the building, I should have known. Anytime that knowledge is coming to this city, it's either Franklin G, China Hudson, or LJ Edmondson that brought him here. So I definitely value that. I just wanted to address the brother that called about his grandmother. I don't mean to step on any toes because I literally just flew over here, but the way that I feel about that, let grandma have her white Jesus. She on her way out. You the new elder, brother. You set the standard for the ones that are coming up. Leave grandma alone. She ain't bothering nobody. She already did when she taught it to us. Let her live, let her do her. But when it comes to that youth, that's where our focus should be, is on the youth so that they don't repeat those same patterns.
But in any event, we back to Like It Is Radio. As you were just dialoguing, AK, would you like to interact with dialogue?
Yeah. Oh, no, I was, I'm the one that actually made the comment towards grandma, using my grandma as an example. And I want to put that out there, that the reason I put that out there is I understand your understanding, but that's not, it's two reasons why we can't do that. For one, I'm going to just get a basic, because that's being lazy. That's like saying, you know, let them kids just bust their head. They gonna be kids. Or, you know, let them kids, if what we gotta do is we gotta understand that somebody gotta stand up for what's right. We cannot be making excuses. If I know my sister's in a domestic violence relationship, for me to say, well, she ain't gonna leave him anyway, that's just me convincing myself to not get involved and be lazy with a situation with somebody I care about. Absolutely. So my thing is, you know, what my grandma is, grandma, I love you. And I gotta be able to look you in your eye. Because what we gotta remember is, grandma not going nowhere. She's just gonna leave that vessel. But her consciousness is gonna be gravitated towards what she remembered on this plane. So it is a such thing as a ghost, and a ghost is emotionally attached to what they believe is unfulfilled. So if my grandmother is waiting for Jesus to come back and then she passed, how does my grandma know to return to the solar system? Because subconsciously her ghost is still waiting for somebody else to deliver her. So now we're dealing with paradoxology, which is intellectual frequencies trapped between 90-degree intervals that we call dimensional shift. So you have to tell somebody that something is a lie. If not, when they cross over, they'll still be attached to what we call an illusion. Now, with that being said, that's one. Then point two, the reason that I would tell my grandma, if my grandma passed away, she came to me a dream, I would say, Grandma, it's nice to see you, but you better not be in my dream talking about no Jeep. And the reason that we gotta go there is because the Bible is, once again, occultic. So the King James Bible, which is black people's favorite Bible, was written by somebody who wrote a book also called Demonology, How to Summon Spirits. And Lucifer and Jesus in the Bible is the same entity. This is why Jesus calls himself the morning star and Satan calls himself the morning star. So what you don't know is, if you're worshiping Jesus and you're doing the Eucharist, you're partaking in cannibalism, which is a demonic satanic ritual. If you're calling upon Jesus, you're really calling upon Satan.
Okay.
So I'm like I said, we don't want our grandma devil worship.
I'm being waved at by so many people. My engineer got control of the show, so we're going to get up out of here. But I tell you, this is all happening community today. There's a meet and greet at 900 South Valley View Boulevard, African Traditions. You've been listening to Young Pharaoh. He's been putting it down. He has over 92,000 followers. I know, AK, we got to bring him back so we can dialogue about this. I apologize. And he also has an event tomorrow. Tell us one more time what the event tomorrow is.
All right. 650 West Sunset Road, Henderson, Nevada, zip code 89011. It's going to be at Sunset Castle. So y'all don't want to miss that. Hosted by Dizzy Wright family. And I'm coming hard body. So let me let y'all know, this ain't about going to church. This ain't no boring college professor lecture. You got my word. This gonna elevate your soul more than it has ever been elevated in the top 5 times of the most exciting times in your life. Now come hold me to that.
There you have it, Young Pharaoh. We're going to have to bring him back because there's more dialogue to be had. I appreciate you. You can go to Facebook in a little while. All this will be listed again. He's in town. He has some events. If you don't know, now you know. You can hang out with your kids for this one. It's intergenerational. This is where they talk. This is where they learn. This is the level of decibel that they're hearing. So come and get some of this youthful knowledge, because I'm believing. I'm a student. I'm always taking knowledge. I tell you, I'm student Verly. This is Like It Is Radio. Sorry for the overtime, but we got knowledge in the house, so we got to make time. Peace, y'all.